And we are live. What is up, everybody? Aaron the Dog live with the Friday/Saturday afternoon MMA betting breakdown show. We've got the LFA 156 card to break down, which is going to be the main focus of the video here. Let me put my phone onto silent since this is the first time I've ever been on a stream. But LFA 156 live from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, one of the many stomping grounds that the LFA just repeatedly goes to. Usually they're pretty good there, and I think they have advanced scoring. I'm not positive on that or not. I know Kansas does, but I think South Dakota does, but we'll see either way. Good main event. Huge fan of Jalen Fuller here on the channel. Both of us are, so definitely excited to see him in a pretty favorable spot, I think, against Trey Waters, but we'll talk about that. Lucky Locks and LFA go together because they make a lot of money. We've got a couple fights on this card that I definitely want to talk to you about. But looking forward to breaking down the whole main card with you. How you doing, Lucky?
Doing great, man. Mixing another one in here. I looked at this card. We got some big names, some good matchups. We got a title fight with, Jalen Fuller's fighting. So that obviously kicks it up a notch for me and you to talk about it. So, yeah, it should be a pretty good card. There's a few matchups kind of, but the A side of both of the matchups are good. So should be a fun night of fights on Friday. And obviously we got lots more on Saturday too. So I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, 2 cards on Saturday. The Cage Warriors 152 card I'll be breaking down last here on the channel or on the video here today. But really good card there as well. I'll get to that in a little bit. But we're going to start with one of those A side just steamroll matchups. We don't really have to even talk about this too much here. Ben Tynan getting a late notice replacement of an 0-2 Will Johnson. I didn't tape this. I'm not going to. It's going to be minus 3,000 probably by the time the fight starts. Who cares? Ben Tynan better finish this in less than a round.
Yeah, I mean, we really don't need to spend any time. Nobody will fight Ben Tynan. They found somebody that will. The guy that will is not very good. Ben Tynan at minus 1,500 is probably, a decent bet. I feel like he covers that. I won't be paying to find out, but yeah, you should win and win early.
I mean, yeah, Will Johnson's faced 2 decent guys. He also lost to both of them in the second round. So, I mean, there's just not much to go on there. I'm not crazy about what they've been doing with Ben. Who was he paired up with originally? This Brandon Williamson guy, like, okay, at least he's 3-0. He looks like he's bad. I don't mean to judge him like that, but maybe they can pair him back up there. I just need to see him tested a little more at this point because he has beat some decent competition early on. So next fight, this is, I think, a pretty similar one that we don't have to talk about for too long here. Nikita Koshin taking on Giovanni Cruz. Couldn't find a lot on Koshin. Did find some tape on Cruz. What I found of Cruz didn't look great. 6-4 veteran, has won his last couple. He did, hasn't faced anybody too great. Marcos Vinicius, I know he's 15-5. He's not. Wasn't a great fight there. The Malik Lewis fight, he got brutally put away in that. Also, Nikita, I assume should roll, but Nikita, my problem with Nikita is I'm going on it pretty blind. I'm trusting an IMMAF experience, of course, more almost than like the Young Eagles experience. I'm excited to see him in there with someone else. I did watch the Guliev fight from a couple years ago as well. He looks to be pretty well-rounded. So I'm excited to see him after a couple years off. He should cruise here, but I mean, no pun intended.
Yeah, so we'll get to see what this guy really looks like here. He's 3-0. He was an IMMAF champ as an amateur, 2 pro fights in ACA Young Eagles. And it's kind of like the LFA of Russia in a way, where ACA is the big show, like the UFC, and then this Young Eagle show is a lot of what it sounds like it is, a lot of young talent, less experienced guys. So fighting the fights that he did fight there weren't, ultra strong level of competition so far, but IMMAF is usually pretty good level as far as amateur fights goes. Giovanni Cruz is 6-4. I'd say kind of more like 5-2 because between 2012 and 2013, he was 1-2. Then he returned in 2019. He's been 5-2 since then. But outside of 2 fights, he's fought a very low level of competition. One of those steps up was Malik Lewis, which was a loss. And like Malik Lewis is okay. Like he's turning into a decent enough 6-1 prospect. He has an LFA win. He's been on Contender Series, but nothing, amazing. Last fight, Cruz beat Marcos Vinicius, who is like, okay, he's 15-6, but he's lost 3 straight with Cruz being the most recent. So only 5 of the wins that this Vinicius guy had were against guys with a winning record anyway. So yeah, I mean, Cruz hasn't fought anybody great. This line seems like maybe a bit wide. I don't know if Cruz is like this big of an underdog, but he's definitely a big underdog. And I think Koshin for sure should win. I mean, I'm not interested at the price, but yeah, should win and shouldn't be too difficult.
Yeah, it's minus 1,300. I think it should be like minus 700, minus 750. But either way, he should cruise here again, like against this level of guy. But I also think like there's a big age difference here. Like I don't remember correct, but I'm pretty sure Cruz is on like the shorter end of things as well. So we'll see. Next fight, 115. I think this is going to be a very interesting fight. Might not be a good fight, but I think it's going to be interesting here. Talita, Alencar so far hasn't really been tested in the level of opponents she's facing, but she's got that legit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu talent that, especially in the strawweight division, I think she could make a rise pretty quickly here. I am curious to see how the skills come together here. Someone like Kelly is going to force those skills to come together because she's pretty competent. Talita, 32 years old, but also has competed in a lot of grappling along the way. Faced some very good levels of grappling competition, as you can see. As a pro, the level of competition she faced with Tynan, not great. It took her a while against Laura Contreras as well to get that win, but she definitely is a finisher. All 3 of her wins coming by finish. Kelsey doesn't get finished, so that's kind of where we come to a little bit of an impasse. Marnik Man had a very close split decision against her. I get Marnik got tooled up by Bruna Brazil, but Bruna Brazil I think going to end up being pretty good. So I don't have any problem there. And Tabitha Ricci forcing her to a decision in her debut. That's a tough debut. Looked really good against Brittany Camozzi as well. All of her fights coming in LFA. I think that Talita gets the reality check here. And when she can't get the finish, I think she's going to have trouble winning minutes on the feet. So I'm going with Kelsey. I think that she really has faced such a higher level of competition. A split against Paparaki. I get it. Paparaki's not incredible, but Paparaki has all the tools. Not getting finished by Tabitha Ricci, who came in with the BJJ skills and everything. I think Kelsey's primed for an upset here.
Yeah, this is one of the more interesting fights in the card, actually, oddly enough. Kelsey Arneson is 2-2, but she's fought, like, as far as regional strawweight goes, very high level of competition for the point that she's at in her career. Losses to Marnik Man and Tabitha Ricci. I mean, like, you really can't complain about those at all. And like you mentioned, that Marnik Man fight was very close. Neither of them could finish her. She's very strong too. She definitely, takes her vitamins and eats her spinach. Her physique is certainly very good, we'll say. She made her pro debut, like you mentioned, Tabitha Ricci. Like, that's a really tough debut to make. And she was actually, she wasn't great in the grappling, but she was okay. Didn't get subbed against a very high level jiu-jitsu player. Talita Alencar, with the utmost respect to Tabitha Ricci, I feel like is a little bit different level of jiu-jitsu. Like Ricci did win world championships in the colored belts. Alencar did that too, and then scooped 4 of them at the black belt level. 3 out of 4 of those came in no-gi. She won the Pan Championship in gi and no-gi, European Championship. MMA, on the other hand, though, 3-0, all very low-level opponents, all girls that I think Kelsey Arneson would beat. I'm really not sure how she's going to be in the striking from the very small sample that we have. I'm going to say not that great. Does seem pretty decently strong for the division. Not quite like as cut up as Kelsey Arneson is, but seems like she's got a decent heavy base there. I got excited when this fight was announced because I immediately thought Arneson would be like plus 300 or more, and I wanted to bet it, and she opened plus 350. I was literally on the page. I clicked bet. It moved to minus 155. Obviously, a ton of money came in. It's come back quite a bit now. What is Arneson at now? Like plus 165 or something?
Yeah, I'm seeing it at plus 160 currently.
Okay.
for Arneson on my book. So plus 165 actually. Yeah, plus 160. It's literally changed when I updated it just now.
I think she for sure is the side at that number. I mean, there's just there's way too many unknowns about Alencar. Plus, this is a huge jump in competition. Yeah, I like the Kelsey Arneson side at plus money.
Yep, plus 165 and ever changing. So and minus 190 on Talita. Yeah, I would have loved a plus 200 or better on her, but I'll take this number as well. She's an LFA staple, man. Like she does her job and then doesn't do her job the next fight. And she is on the win one, lose one. She won her last. So
yeah, that's true. Very true.
Yeah, just proceed with caution here. It's not one I'm like stumbling over to get to, but on this card, I do like the shot with the type of underdogs that are being set up. Speaking of which, Richie fucking Lewis, this guy, just a hilarious guy to watch. His Ernesto fight with Ernesto was just amazing. The round it lasted with LFA there. He used to fight over or with Tynan. He used to fight over with Goat Shed. I'm a big Goat Shed guy because I'm a Jillian Robertson guy. So I got to support the Goat Shed. My 115 strawweight Savage this weekend. Go ahead and hit that number already because she's going to roll. But Richie no longer with them. He's fought with a few high-level camps, though. Really high-level wrestler. Likes to get in there and throw down. Very, very, just all the way around good. Killcliff. Jordan Isordia out of Black House here. 2-3. Lost his last 2 as well. Hasn't faced a great level of competition in the losses. Ruben War, 2-4, getting a decision. He hasn't fought since 2014. What's he doing? Like, I don't even know where he's at this point. Richie's got a roll here, round 1, under 60 seconds type of like round for me. This guy's fought MMA in 9 years.
Yeah, this is another fight. There's 2 fights in this card that I made no notes for. Ben Tynan was the first one. This is the second one. Richie Lewis is going to win this fight.
Yeah.
And there's not a ton of value, not really an exciting betting line. You mentioned Asordia hasn't fought in like 8 years. He has a losing record. I mean, I think it's
last fight was 9 years ago. 2-4 opponent. And he lost unanimously.
Yeah. So
I couldn't find the VHS tape. Like, yeah, we'll move on. Minus what? Minus at this point, what is he? Minus 14, minus 1,500. Yeah, like it's just like who cares? We'll move on. Hopefully Richie can get a real opponent next. Turn around quickly. Last 2 fights on the card. These are what I've been very excited to talk to you about. This is a really, really good co-main event, perfectly matched up in my opinion. Ryan Leininger taking on Miguel Jacob. Both of these guys have a split decision loss against Josh Streaker in a very similar way, frankly. Leininger, much more of the well-rounded guy with regards to his wrestling. I think that in the striking department, he's the better boxer, but Miguel Jacob clearly has the leg kicks and the better Muay Thai. And the leg kicks have been pretty effective against Leininger in the Botboli robbery, which I will call it that. Leininger won that fight. I went back and watched it today. I am sure Leininger won that fight. It was a close fight, but the most effective thing for Botboli was definitely the leg kicks. Ryan Leininger puts a lot of weight on that front foot when he's in that boxing range. He doesn't use his range as effectively as I'd like him to. So, like in a fight like this, he's going to have, I think, like a 5-inch reach advantage. I'm pretty sure he has like a 77-inch reach type of 76-inch reach. Miguel Jacob was 72. So, and both guys are slow starters. So it might be who's the quicker starter here because I could easily go the distance here. I think the finishing potential is more on Miguel Jacob just because I do think Ryan sometimes leaves that chin a little bit out there and Jacob has legit power. I've been back and forth on this one. Jacob just has too many periods of inactivity for me to trust it. And I think in those inactivities, he's going to allow Ryan to close the range, to get into the wrestling, pressure against the cage. And even at range, I think Ryan's a little better in the distance range. There's just a very specific range I feel like Jacob has to keep this fight at if he's not getting a finish to win it. So I am going to go with Leininger. I'm going to go with him by decision. I think he uses the wrestling, mixes it in each round. I think Leininger does have potential to be a UFC type of level of guy. I'm not sure about that in Miguel Jacob either. I'm a little more sheepish on him, but yeah, it should be an interesting one. I just think Leininger is going to fill in kind of those voids in action a little more often than Miguel. But if Miguel's much more active and more aggressive, I really could see him getting a finish or, taking this. It's a close fight. I've been on both guys as I've watched tape. I'm going to stick with Leininger here. Decision.
Yeah, this should be a fun co-main event. Leininger, long 13-fight amateur career, and now he has just as many pro-level fights too at 10-3. He has some good wins, Darius Flowers and Jeremiah Curtwright. Outside of that, not really a ton to write home about. I fought a lot of guys with losing records. I think he's only 3 out of his 10 wins are against guys with a positive record, and when he has fought guys with a winning record, he's 3-3. He's 1-2 on LFA. Had those losses to Bati Balati, which, somewhat controversial. And then you got KO'd by Joseph Holmes a long time ago. But he's a good fighter, and he's a really potent finisher as well. He just seems to find ways to finish fights, which, if you're fighting guys that tend to be a little bit below average, you want to see that. He's got a 90% finish rate. So that's definitely a good look. Miguel Jacob is 7-2, kind of more like 5-2, and I'll explain why. So it makes his LFA debut at 4-0, takes a step up, and AJ Nichols got finished. Goes on Gladiator Challenge. What do you do when you go on Gladiator Challenge? You punch the guy one time, he goes down, you get a round 1 knockout on your record. Congratulations. Yeah. Comes back to LFA, faces another solid regional guy in Josh Streaker, loses a split, goes back to Gladiator Challenge, back to the well. Here's another free round 1 knockout. Okay, great. But then after that goes to Favors A1 Combat. Beats kind of not a great opponent, but good performance, stoppage on leg kicks. And, this is still a young guy at 25 training at King's MMA. I like that, Brazilian, he's dangerous. He does have some things that I like, but it just seems like Leininger might just be kind of that level where we've kind of seen Miguel Jacob hit a ceiling before. Neither of these guys have mountains of really impressive wins, but Leininger has more experience. I feel like he has more experience against better fighters. And we've just seen him succeed occasionally in those spots where we haven't seen Jacob do that yet. So earlier in the week, he was like -300, -290. I mean, that really isn't my speed there. Down around like -170 or whatever he is now. Seems more accurate. I don't want to bet it, but seems a little bit better. I'm going to side with Leininger too, but I do think that Jacob does have a little bit of upside here.
Yeah. I wish I had someone to pair up Leininger with from this card. I might take Leininger and try to pair him up with someone from the PFL or Cage Warriors as I go here. But I definitely like him much more. All of a sudden, that 170 sounds great. The -350 is insane. But should be a good one. On to the main event. And I'll be honest, man, this main event, I don't like to say this a lot, but I'm really surprised by the line. Like, I don't understand this line at all. And typically, and I have a feeling we're both on the same fighter here, typically when we're both on the dog in a main event of LFA, that shit comes through like pretty consistently. And I don't want to jinx it, but I also don't really believe in jinxes. We're both Jalen Fuller fans here. And the thing with Trey Waters is he's very tall, very, very tall at 6'5". He's got the shorter reach in this fight against Fuller, and Fuller knows how to use his reach as well, which I really like. 80.5 inches on the feet. I don't think this is even close, man. Like, I think Jalen Fuller has serious danger to Trey Waters to finish this fight at a lot of times. Trey Waters has that tall man defense. He was getting pieced up in his last couple fights here. That Benjamin Bennett fight was amazing. I will give him that. He is definitely very, very tough, but I think that's the ceiling right there. And I think Jalen Fuller is much better than Benjamin Bennett. I think if he takes the type of shots he did against Bennett, Gabriel Bonfim, obviously, I can't really, be like, oh, he's Gabriel Bonfim. So, but I'm telling you see a lot of these things come up in Trey Waters' fights, even in his fights with Combate, Global. You saw it come up against the 7-6 fight. Like, I don't see what the odds makers see here. I already bet Jalen Fuller at +105. I'm very excited. I think that he is improving on the ground, but I do think that he's not going to be messing with the ground in this fight. Obviously, the Orlabe fight and the Bruno Assis fight, both of those he lost because of his grappling insufficiencies. Bruno Assis also at middleweight. The Gage Saunders fight, I like what I'm seeing. I like that he's clearly working on his grappling. I think he gets back to the striking here, gets back to TKO, Tristan Vine style. So I think the first round is very, very live here. But yeah, I'm quite surprised. Under 4.5 is minus 180. Mountain Bets is saying as well. I think that the under will come in also because I feel like Trey's route to victory is going to be that sub. So yeah, I mean, tell me I'm crazy here. I got Jalen Fuller at plus 105, and I'm feeling good.
Yeah, this is a fun main event for the belt here. Jalen Fuller, Trey Waters. Jalen Fuller, I mean, very well-known regional commodity by now, especially if you watch LFA, especially even more if you watch this show. 86% finish rate. All his wins except one, which was his pro debut, have finished. And he has 2 losses. One of them, a very tough fight to Multibek Orobai. I mean, that's a guy that will beat a lot of people at 170 pounds. The other one to Bruno Assis, I didn't love that one just because, I mean, Assis is very skilled, but it just seemed like a matchup that Fuller should have been able to chin him. Wasn't able to do that. I mean, Bruno Assis is a guy that just doesn't have a great chin. Same reason I backed Ozzy Diaz as a dog against Bruno Assis, just because he doesn't take a shot well. But we'll give Fuller a pass there. He grabbed an early guillotine in his last fight. I feel like that type of a scenario is actually live in this fight as well. Fuller to get something from the front. In terms of a choke. And Waters had a substantial 8-2 amateur career, start at 5-0 as a pro, but against very low-level guys. Stepped up against Ben Bennett in his LFA debut. That's a fight that I felt he was losing until he landed that knee with about 20 seconds left. I don't think that's a very hot take. I feel like most people would agree with that assessment, but he did earn himself a spot in the Contender Series and had to fight Gabriel Bonfim, and that went about the way you would expect that to go. So with Fuller, the line is starting to come in. This opened at a pick'em, and then he went out to a dog. He was like plus 135 at one point. I was like, okay. I waited on that a little too long because it came back into about a pick'em now. I do think that it's, like a somewhat close fight, but Waters just, I mean, I guess he's been acclimated a little bit to the higher levels of the regional welterweights in his last 2 fights, but Fuller has way more experience at that level. These are 2 guys that are long and dangerous. Fuller's a little bit longer. I think he's a little bit more dangerous. And if you're going to give it to me at this number, I feel like Fuller is definitely the side. Someone in the chat was talking about the under earlier. I also agree with that. I feel like Fuller, with a Fuller win, I feel like if Trey Waters wins, he kind of has to finish. So I think the under is a decent look too, and I like Jalen Fuller as the money line side here in the main event.
Yep, agreed. I mean, again, I don't want to sound overconfident, I guess, but I did not expect to see a plus money next to Jalen Fuller. And it's nice because this isn't the UFC level where a lot of times where someone's a dog where they shouldn't be, there's a reason they are. You end up seeing like, oh, there's a reason they're a dog. LFA, you can get away with these dogs. Like it happens quite a bit. And Trey Waters, simply by being, like kind of exposed a little higher level for a moment, might just have gotten that boost here. So I like Fuller as well. I think he learns from the cardio dump against Assis. I do not expect Trey Waters to turn into Orlabai either with the wrestling. So let's hope there. We'll cover the other Friday MMA really quickly, and then I will go over the Cage Warriors as well. Yeah, PFL number 3. PFL's never getting their own video. They're back at the theater at the Virgins Hotel. It's the 170 and the 155ers. So at least it's pretty good fights. But again, minimal amount of tape here. So if you don't want to take our advice, that's totally fine. Neither one of us are going to be upset about it. We're simply just going over the fights and kind of our initial leans here with, the amount of research that we have. So first off, I'm just going to go through them. We're not going to go deep into them. This won't take long. So Magomed Umalatov versus Delano Taylor. Obviously, this order is going to be completely different. I'm sure this is going to be towards the end of the night, but currently it's how it's set up here on Tapology. Yeah, this is a good fight. I've not been super blown away by Delano Taylor as much as everybody else. I know that might seem like blasphemy here. Magomed, I'm not exactly sure either. If I had to pick a side, I'd go with Delano just based on the PFL experience and overall success, but nothing I'm married to. When I see the odds, yeah, I don't really want anything to do with Magomed at minus 350. Delano at plus 260 would be my side, but very limited. You have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think Umalatov is probably going to be my pick to win. I definitely wouldn't bet him at the price. I agree with you. Delano Taylor is decent. I don't think he's that good. Like I wouldn't want to bet him, but I definitely wouldn't want to lay minus 350 on Umalatov either because Taylor is decent. So yeah, I think Umalatov wins, but I wouldn't want to bet him here.
Has he looked impressive in the PFL, or am I like misremembering?
He had like a couple fights, I think, against the lower
he didn't look that great though. If I didn't,
he flatlined that guy in his debut,
okay.
And then he knocked out Al Salawi in his last fight.
Okay, so I might be getting him confused with another one of the Russians here. Again, PFL is getting my minimum. That's fair enough. I'm not going to be betting much on here. Zawada versus Carlos Leo. We are a Carlos Leo channel. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. Dude's going to be one of the best successes from LFA. He just goes forward. He's knocking out Zawada. I like Leo inside the distance is a bet I could get there on.
Yeah, this one I actually think could be close. Like plus 200 on the dog. I think I would actually lean. I mean, I'm not betting it because I'm just not that interested. But I feel like if you're gonna give me plus 200 on Zavada, that would probably be my my money line side lean. I do think that Leal is the better fighter.
Yeah, no, I can't turn my back on Leal now. Dennis Goltsov taking on Cesar Ferreira at 265.
What happened to Patrick Brady or whoever?
I've been waiting for Patrick Brady for 3 weeks, man. Maybe he's taking another week off. I didn't know Ferreira was a heavyweight, so that's interesting.
He is now. When they called him up the day before the show,
like we'll give you 250K. This is why I don't pay attention to PFL. This is ridiculous. Dennis Goltsov, sure.
Yeah, Goltsov.
By being in the right weight class. Yeah. All right. Clay Collard taking on Yamamoto Nishikawa. I'll be honest, I don't know a ton about Nishikawa, but I do remember hearing some rumblings. Clay Collard, another guy who I think had a 1-season wonder last year. I think he's going to continue to come back to where he should be. And I'll say Nishikawa wins. I don't know how. It's a co-main event, apparently.
Yeah, I haven't really looked into this one. I don't know much about this guy. Is he actually 20 years old with like
dude, I don't
30 fights?
Again, like, it's just I guess like he's on the Shaolin Narembeke.
Okay. I don't really have any thoughts, but I mean that's pretty crazy if that's true.
He's plus 215 apparently. All right. This is insane. All right. Well, Shane Burgos versus Olivier Aubin-Mercier. We can have a little bit of thoughts about this one. Sure. Right? This should be a really interesting fight, actually. I'm interested to see how Shane Burgos looks coming over to PFL. Typically, it's a pretty difficult guy to take down. Olivier Mercier typically has a pretty tough time when he can't take down his opponents at will. But his boxing's gotten better. But Burgos seems like he should be just so much quicker and faster and more smooth on the feet. As long as he can keep this from getting to the ground too often, I would think he can, kind of hang in there, but should be a close fight. Yeah, I'll edge towards Burgos to win a decision though.
Yeah, Burgos was interesting when he was a much bigger dog earlier. Now he's actually flipped to the favorite. Yeah. I'm not really interested in that anymore. I guess if I had to pick a money line lean, I would go with OAM actually.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I would like the plus money in that spot. All right, apparently these are the post slims now. Natan Schultz versus Stevie Ray. This is going to be a split decision, most likely. It's going to be super close. He's flipped the coin. I've gotten every Stevie Ray fight wrong for the last 3-4 years. Stevie Ray, I'm going to say, gets edged out by Natan Schultz.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean to Schultz as well. He's a huge favorite here. I didn't realize he was.
I had no idea. This seriously might get a bet on Stevie Ray. That's offensive.
I mean, I think he's the clear if you have to pick. I mean, I think Schultz gonna win, but I would
plus 300.
365. I see minus 400, minus 390.
Who's betting PFL? What kind of sickos are you? Zach Jusula, one of my favorite PFL products, the Juice, taking on Brandon Jenkins. If you think I'm Ben Brandon Jenkins here, you are sadly mistaken. This is the type of guy Jusula thrives against. Jusula wins a split decision. This is going to be a war fight of the night.
Yeah, I don't have any thoughts really here.
Perfect matchmaking, the best matchmaking in PFL history.
I remember Jusola coming through as the dog last time against Vittner, so it definitely would make me nervous to line up on Brandon Jenkins. I mean, neither of these guys are unbelievable. It's going to be
super closely lined. I did not.
Going to be a dog. I actually think it's going to be a good fight. Going to be a dog fight, I think.
Yeah, this is perfect matchmaking for Gladiator, Tynan, Spartan, Alaska FC. This could be in any organization in the world except for like a good one. Bruno Miranda, Ahmed Amir. I think Bruno Miranda has the potential to kind of wear out Ahmed and get a sub late. So that is one of the fights I've talked with some people about. I actually do have my eyes on Bruno by sub late.
Yeah, I think that would be my lean here as well. I don't have a ton of information about either guy. Leaning towards Bruno Miranda. It's the guy that I've seen more of. Yeah, Amir, this is his first fight in PFL, isn't he? He's from Brave, right?
Yeah.
So I think he should be a pretty decent fight here. I'm going to lean towards Bruno Miranda.
Yeah, it is a good fight. Some of these, minus 105 on Ahmed, minus 125 on Bruno. Shane Mitchell versus Naib Lopez. I've liked what I've seen on Naib Lopez. He looks like the goods. I was burned on a Mexican wrestler in LFA and Leva last year. Obviously pretty hard. Naib kind of does remind me similar type of skills here, but twice the experience. I like Naib as long as the weight cut goes well.
Yeah, I'm going to join you on that lean.
Yeah, Raush Manfio versus Alex Martinez. Split decision one way or the other. And whoever wins probably lost the fight. So Alex Martinez probably loses and wins another fight. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Alex Martinez, why not?
Both of these guys, man, are just like every time I think they
Alex Martinez is the favorite?
I know, that was insane, right? Like I thought I was missing something. I was like,
no, I thought I was getting the plus. Never mind. I'll take Manfio then.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean with Manfio too. Like he opened minus 175, and then Alex Martinez came all the way down to like minus 160 at one point.
All right, we're gonna fish up with the last two, and then I'm gonna come back later to cover the Cage Warriors fights actually, because I do have to go for the month. Magomed, Macarena of taking on Ben Egley. Poor Ben Egley. I don't know why Ben Egley does this to himself, but like, unless Magomed's like entire body's falling apart, which I've been suspect of for the last like 3 years with Magomed, like I really am, and Magomed has no hair now. Like he does look like a 50-year-old Russian, but he's minus 1,200. I mean, Ben Egley, like he's sub or bust though. He's gonna get annihilated.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Ben Egley's gonna want this to take place in the grappling because he kind of has to have it though. I used to watch him a lot on Submission Underground back in the day, but I guess not that long.
Tough matchups there too.
Yeah, he fought all the toughest guys while he was there.
He doesn't know how to say no. He has Cass Bell's manager, which is Cass Bell.
Yeah. So I'm gonna side with Magomed. I mean, I know it's a hot take, I know, but yeah.
And then the final post-lim of the night is like a really, really high-level kickboxing bout between Sabadou Sai and El Sawai, Jarrah El Sawai. Jarrah seems like kind of a fraud so far, but I mean, like Sabadou Sai just seems to have perfected his style at this point. Like Sabadou Sai, like should take this one. I would love to see the finish, but I think it's probably Sabadou Sai by decision. Minus 200 seems like a trap almost.
Yes, I mean, Sadibou C is a guy that has been pretty good to me actually over the years. I had a sizable bet on him in the final against Delano Taylor. That was pretty good performance, close at times, but he's put together a pretty good win streak lately, and he hasn't lost actually since 2021. So looking to pick up where he left off in 2022, where he won every single fight that year, all four. I think he's probably my pick to win here. Yeah, like you said, the line seems kind of a little bit weird, but I am going to lean towards Sadabusi, where I haven't done all the necessary research. But just at a glance, he's the guy I'd pick to win.
Yeah, no, totally agree there. So should be a good card. Actually, it's like a little better now I've talked about it a little bit, so maybe I'll look into it a little more, but I'm not hitching my wagon onto PFL. So that is going to do it. As always, Lucky, great to talk LFA with you. Got a little PFL at the end there as well. That's going to do it for the show. I hopefully will be back later tonight with the Cage Warriors. Otherwise, I'll join you guys tomorrow afternoon. Cage Warriors is on Saturday, so playing time still. So thank you, everybody. Peace out. All right.